Carolina Panthers, Tetairoa McMillan won Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2025 and has the talent and ability to become a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 back in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. On today's episode, guys, I am kicking off our 2025 rookie grading series, starting off with Carolina Panthers star wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan, the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2025. At the end of the show, I'm going to explain my grade for him. I'm going to tell you guys before that, I'm going to tell you guys about the concerns I have for him, the areas that he can clean up and get better. But we're going to kick off the show talking about the pros. Tetairoa McMillan was my bell-to-bell wide receiver one last year. I never budged, never moved. I came into the summer, he was wide receiver one. Into the draft, he was wide receiver one. He was drafted as wide receiver one, and he was the wide receiver one in for the rookie class last season. It wasn't a Luther Burden or Mecca Ibuka. Some people had Travis Hunter. For me, it was always Tetairoa McMillan, that 6'5", 200-plus pounds, athletic, ball skills, catch radius, route running, all of that. And I'll say this. I'm going to give you guys, and some may think this is a hot take. It's not. If Tetairoa McMillan were in the 2026 NFL draft, Jordan Tyson was my wide receiver one, but I understand and understood why he didn't go as a wide receiver one because of the injuries. That's really it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. That's it. If anybody tells you something different, you know what I mean? I would question that because the scouts I've talked to, that was the constant consensus. It's like he's wide receiver one, but it's the availability and how GMs look at it. Scouts had him at wide receiver one. Some GMs were a little weary about the injury history, right? So nonetheless, here we are. He was wide receiver 2 off the board, still a top 10 pick, and went, I think, 8th overall to the New Orleans Saints. So you're talking about putting Tetairoa McMillan in this class, in the 2026 class. If Cardinal Tate, if the Titans were still wanted to go with wide receiver at 4, it would have been Tetairoa McMillan. He would have been the number 1 wide receiver in this class. And yeah, he's just that good. I believe Tetairoa McMillan has a high ceiling. He's got a strong floor, as we saw, the 1,000-yard receiver, and some things he can even clean up. But I think that this young man can be special. And when you look at what he did last year as a rookie, caught 70 out of his 122 targets. So 70 receptions on 122 targets, 1,014 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns. And I want you guys to understand that this is impressive. And he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. This was impressive to me simply because of the fact it's not as if Tetairoa McMillan was sitting there catching passes from Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. He has a game manager at quarterback. No slight disrespect to Bryce Young. If you watch the season, that's exactly what Bryce Young was. They ran the ball. They tried to keep him 25 to maybe at most 30 pass attempts a game, so you could limit just his exposure throwing the football. And they wanted to run the football, control the clock, things of that nature. So it's not like he's playing in a high volume passing offense. I think if you're playing for if he was the number 1 receiver for Joe Burrow, he has way better numbers. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all of it, right? So again, no slight to Bryce, but that's just what Tetairoa McMillan is dealing with at quarterback, just to put into some context of just how good he was. And one of the main things you're talking about, just from a pro standpoint, guys, his football IQ is high. And to win against zone and to win from different alignments showcases football IQ as a wide receiver. Can you play all 3 positions? Can you play the X? Can you play the Z? Can you play the slot? Can you work out of bunch and stack sets? And again, when you're facing zones, right? Can you read spot droppers and where they're and their leverage? Can you settle and nestle into the soft spots and do it in a quick enough time that your quarterback can get you the football? And the answers for Tetairoa McMillan is yes, yes, and yes, 100%. This young man is so good at finding those soft spots. And he's 6'5", right? He's not 6'3", or he's not. They didn't just list him as something that he came in 6'2", 6'1". I think Xavier Legette was like that, where South Carolina had him listed at 6'3". We think, man, he's a 6'3", 220-pound wide receiver who runs a 4.39. Gets to the Senior Bowl, he's 6'1" and some change. You're like, yo, that's a bit of a difference there, man. Like, that changes some things. So, yes, when I look at Tetairoa McMillan as a true 6'5" wide receiver, he has great feel and vision. Against zone, I love how he's able to fill the lanes left by those spot droppers, those linebackers. He does a great job of reading where, like, their drop, right? Because as a wide receiver, if you're running a shallow cross or over route or crossing pattern in general, in cut, if you're facing zone, you have to read the linebacker's drops, right? I think I've said this multiple times on this podcast. If the linebackers take a step forward, if they're working closer to the line of scrimmage and they're more shallow, they're not dropping back, they're kind of flat-footed shallow, they take that step forward, you work behind them. If they go backwards, if they're backpedaling, strafing back, whatever, then your route works in front of them to avoid contact and putting the ball in the potential target and passing the quarterback in a vulnerable spot. He does a great job of that. So I love that with him. And I said this for him coming out, he is a strong route runner. When you look at Tetairoa McMillan, his ability to manipulate DBs is like, it's beyond his years, right? This is a guy that runs good double moves. He uses his head and shoulders and head fakes and turns and looks for the ball. He understands that his eyes are key, right? That's why they tell DBs, don't look at the eyes, don't look at the hips, look at the core, because the core can't move when you're watching a guy run his routes and you're trying to mirror him. Because if you look at Tetairoa McMillan's eyes and you're playing off coverage, he's going to bait you. He's going to manipulate you. He's going to lie to you. And that's what he does a great job of, guys. I love everything he brings to the table as a route runner, especially against off coverage. That ability to use his stem and his body to manipulate DBs, to move you off your spot, to move you. If he's running an outbreaking route, he runs a blaze route or a double move to the outside or whatnot. He does a great job using his stem to angle that with his body to force you back inside for leverage and then break back outside. He does an outstanding job of that and just making it difficult for DBs, right, to be able to stick with him one-on-one, especially if you don't get hands on. Now, the one thing that was just I was so enamored with him as a prospect, and it still stayed that way, his ability to create yards after the catch, instincts and suddenness. You're talking about a wide receiver at 6'5", 200+ pounds, and he's creating yards after the catch. Talking about catching the ball, hit you with that dream shake, the spatial awareness and understanding, hey, I ran this hitch route, I got separation, where's the DB? And he knows the DB's on his inside shoulder, on his inside hip. So he knows once I catch the ball, spin back outside towards the sideline and go get yards after the catch. But not only that, he's a guy that you can throw into the void, but he's also a guy that you can throw the quick passes to, and then he can make a defender miss. And he's strong and powerful to where he gives you that long arm. I think it might have been, I was watching, I think it was the second matchup against Tampa. I think late in the season, I think it might have been the Tampa game. And he catches an over route. I think it might have been raining or whatever, wet game or whatever. So wet ball, he takes his gloves off, his fingers are taped, and you see him catch an over route, just snatches the ball. Plucks the ball. The throw was not where it needed to be, like in terms of the ball, like it was high. Like, so he, instead of leading him, it was helmet higher. And in the middle of the field, you don't do that. Like, you don't throw passes like that. So you see the ball high, he snatches it, and then you see him just immediately. His ability to convert from receiver to runner is outstanding. So I love to see that from him. So he has the instincts and suddenness to create yards after the catch. And it's just, again, his ability to play everywhere. I think against Tampa, might have been the first game against Tampa when they beat Tampa, he catches a crossing route, catches the ball, DB is trying to, I think that there's a linebacker or a safety, somebody's trying to tackle him, and he stiff arms, I think, two guys back to back. So he's got the straight arm, he's got the short area quickness to put a move on you, but then also he's got the spin moves and different things. 6'5", 200+ pound wide receiver that can create after the catch and create on his own. Yes, this young man has special potential. But guys, coming up next, I'm going to talk about the concerns, the things I saw on film that he has to get better at if he wants to reach that very high ceiling that he has as a prospect. Coming up next. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. And that's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of up and coming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances from day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Again, join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you still have to fill is sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Breaking down the concerns for wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan. But, guys, don't forget to check out the Everyday Club for ad-free episodes and access to our group chat with me, Keith, and other listeners of the show. Tap the link in the show notes to go to lockedonnfldraft.supercast.com. Tetairoa McMillan, 6'5", 200-plus pound wide receiver, offensive rookie of the year with a high ceiling. That can be special. But one of the main concerns I have for him coming off his rookie film, drops. Drops were an issue, guys. PFF charted him for 7 drops. I watched all 7. Only 5 were actual drops. 2 were just bad throws, or like throws that were not really in his catch radius and catch zone. And again, I'm just, when people say they chart stuff, I always give you the side eye because I'm just like, are you a credible source to be charting anything? So again, just being honest, I'm not gonna go on a tangent, but that's stuff that bothers me when we look at just pure raw numbers. I don't care what site has drops or drop percentage. Go watch the drops for yourself, because some of these sites actually chart and put a drop on the wide receiver because the DB punched the ball out. That's a PBU. But again, I said I'm not going to go on a tangent. But yes, so 5 of the drops were real drops to me for Tetairoa McMillan. 5 of the drops were real drops. And it were passes that, again, I just talked about it. Bryce had passes that weren't. Like, one of the passes were like in the red zone. It was a super high throw. I'm like, yes, you got a 6'5" wide receiver that can jump out the gym, but dude, put it lower, man. But this is, in this situation against the Dallas Cowboys, in the game that they won, Bryce puts the ball out in front on a slant route, and it goes right off of the hands of Tetairoa McMillan. It goes right off of the hands of T-Mac. T-Mac, it hits his hands, boom, ricochets off, pop fly, tip drill, interception, Dallas Cowboys, right? That's not on the quarterback. That's on T-Mac. So he had a couple passes this past season that ricocheted off his hands and became vulnerable, right? With that one that I can remember vividly being intercepted. He had a couple where, I think he had like a touchdown or 2 where the ball hits him dead in the hands. And it felt like his confidence was a little shaken at times with his hands last year, because you saw him kind of deviate sometimes from plucking the ball, using his hands and plucking the ball from the air, to a situation where you see him more so trying to body catch it and trap the ball. And I saw that with him. I'm like, got to get better. Got to stay, consistent with using your hands, T-Mac. So that's one of the main things for me. So like I said, some drop passes, some drop touchdowns, drops and tip drills and ricochets that turned into interceptions. Got to clean that up, because at the end of the day, his talent is special, man. His talent is special to me, guys. I think this young man can be absolutely a top 10 wide receiver in this league, but you can't be top 10 dropping passes. You got to catch the ball. One thing that he talked about, and this goes into my next point. I was listening. Shout out to my girl, Vashti, man. Carolina Blitz. Love her, man. She's awesome. If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, definitely go check her out. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Like, she's one of the best of the best. Her and my girl Sheena, man. Nothing but love for them, dog. I met them in person. Two of the most down-to-earth people in this space. They know ball. Love them. Just wanted to give them a shout out. But I was on TikTok and I saw Vashti. Saw an interview, like I think may have been trained from the practices or whatever, but it was, or maybe after the season, I don't know. But I saw it on Vashti's TikTok. It just popped up on my feed, and which was crazy because I was watching T-Mac's film. I guess my phone was listening to me. I don't know, but the point is, in the interview on the clip, he said, basically he played around 205 or close to the 205 this year. That was the lightest he played since his freshman year at Arizona, freshman year of college. And he typically hovers, and his comfortable playing weight is 215 to 220. And when I heard that, after I had already jotted down my notes, I heard that, I said, okay, yep, that makes sense. Because watching him dealing with especially more so early in the season, in my opinion, dealing with physical coverage was an adjustment for him. Handsy corners that would strike him with well-placed punches and well-timed punches early in the rep, they delayed him and slowed him down and things of that nature. And it showed up, right? That I felt like, he at Arizona, he played with more strength and physicality. I started to see a little bit of that kind of show back up towards the back end of the season, where he was starting to fight through, and he's just playing. His motor was high, working through hands and things like that, not allowing a guy to just jam him and armbar him. So he did a good job of that. But yes, definitely, dealing with physicality at this level in the NFL was definitely an adjustment for him. I saw guys be able to reroute him, saw guys kind of throw off his timing and different things of that nature. So definitely something that I want to see him get better. I want to see him get closer to that too. Get close to your playing weight. I want to see him play at his full potential at 215, 220 and see how he handles that, right? Because I said, even with like Marvin Harrison Jr., him bulking up, 15 pounds of muscle, 15 pounds of muscle last year, you saw that improve his catch strength. You saw it improve his ability to fight through contact and play through contact and make contested catches. Yeah, it worked, right? So it's just all about, hey, can he add that weight back without sacrificing his speed, his athleticism, and his short area quickness? Now, other thing I would close this out and say, run blocking effort and effectiveness, a little bit inconsistent. There's some reps with him where you see Tetairoa McMillan and like he does a great job. He is digging out the block. He's blocking with urgency. He's blocking into the whistle and just running his feet, latching on and moving the defender. And then there's other plays where he's like a power forward just trying to set just a nice little screen, right? They don't want to set a hard screen. That you watch basketball. For those watching basketball, you know what I mean. When you're dealing with, like, for example, my Detroit Pistons play tonight. And one thing teams have been doing is like putting a defender 94 feet. They want to take him like full court press, just him though, just full court pressing him. So what do? You have your big man or another teammate just kind of set a little flare screen, or like they don't set the full screen, like they don't make contact. They just kind of stand there so you can run around them and create more separation so you can get the ball across half court. Things of that nature. That's what he does sometimes. He like hand fights, or in the South called chicken fighting, he hand fights, like, or whatever the case may be. And it's just like nobody takes control of the rep. And then sometimes if the run is coming to his side and he does that, the DB identifies and he gets down or he gets around him. So I want to see him be more consistent. When you're 6'5", 200 plus pounds, man, I want to see you be a dog. And you know what I mean? Not everybody's going to be Julio Jones, but I need you to be more consistent when it pertains to the run blocking effort and effectiveness and efficiency, because that's going to, especially for a team that wants to run the football, right? Dave Canales wants to run the football, and you just got to be more consistent with the blocking from a guy like Tetairoa McMillan, especially for a number one wide receiver. Hey, you don't block, you don't get the rock. You got to block better and more consistent in 2026 and beyond. But guys, coming up next, I'm going to give you my rookie grade for Tetairoa McMillan and explain it coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NBA playoffs are here and in full swing, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 back in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a whole lot more informed. And whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, it adds another level of excitement to every game. And it's a really easy app to navigate. It makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. You can go right now and look at the odds for your up and coming games in the playoffs. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. The grade, rookie grade for Tetairoa McMillan. I gave him a strong B+. Guys, I promise you I wanted to go somewhere in with an A-, but I gave him a B+. The drops, that was the main thing. That's what dropped the grade for me, no pun intended, was the drops. Got to get better if you're teammate. Got to get better catching the football, being consistent with your hands. Sometimes I felt like he was a little nonchalant as well in terms of, and I felt like that with him as a route runner, just coming off the ball in college. I was like, I need to see more urgency from you, big fella. And stuff like that with your salesmanship. He did a better job of that as a rookie, in my opinion. But still, there were some passes. I can't remember which game it was. Bryce tried to throw a fade. Might have been a post. And the ball was inside. And, T-Mac, Tetairoa tried to go up with one hand instead. I don't think he was like I don't think the DB interfered with him, but he tried to one-handed. And he's got a couple of those where he tries to one-hand the ball. And I want to see him do a better job not one-handing the ball. Like, go get both hands on the football if you can. That's why I think that play strength and adding that weight and that strength back, because now you can rip your arm through a guy, and then that also allows you to draw more DPIs in 2026 and beyond, right? If you're playing stronger and more physical, and a guy's trying to arm bar that like one of your hands right to your body, you rip through that, throw the hands up, and the ref sees it like, hey, flag, right? Spot foul. Ball at the 5, ball at the 1, right? If it's in the end zone. So I want to just see him catch the ball better in 2026 and beyond. But a strong B+. I think if he caught the ball, he didn't have some of the drops, even with the weight concern or like the dealing with physicality at times into the press coverage and rerouting and bump and run. Even with that can be improved. And when the guys that with his size and body type and the strength I've seen him play with, he can get better with that too. And even with the run blocking aspect as well, the drops. If he doesn't have the drops, he's got a clean A-. This is one of the best rookies coming out of last year's draft. Tetairoa McMillan does everything. Route running. He has the insane ball skills. The yak ability. He can pluck and snatch the ball away from his frame, right? Creating that separation and everything. He gives you that. The back shoulder fade is going to be there. The 50-50 ball is going to be there with him. He's a dangerous wide receiver, and not because of his athleticism, right? He's not because of his straight line speed. He's a dangerous wide receiver because of everything I just listed and him being 6'5", 200+ pounds. So you're talking about being a guy at 6'5", 215, 220, being able to make you miss in the short area and get yards after the catch, being able to route you up, right? Be able to post you up and go and attack the ball at the highest point in the contested catches, but also being able to put pressure on you, on back shoulder fades and things of that nature. Tetairoa McMillan is just such an outstanding young receiver. And if I'm the Carolina Panthers, you feel like, you know what, man, we dealt with the Kelvin Benjamins of the world. We dealt with the Devin Funcheses of the world. We dealt with the Jonathan Mingos, all of that, man. We've dealt with some pretty bad wide receivers in our time. You should feel very good about having a Tetairoa McMillan, because he's the type of guy, and that's why I want to see Bryce get better. I want to see if he actually can live up to being the #1 overall pick, simply because of the fact that there were times down the stretch where once him and Jalen Coker got going, Bryce has a habit of locking on to one receiver. And if you can't, that's why drafting another receiver is tough, because if you can't be a true point guard, like a good point guard doesn't just feed one shooter, right? Like Cade Cunningham doesn't just feed Duncan Robinson 3-point shots. He kicks it to Tobias Harris. He spoon feeds Jalen Duren, who can't get his own basket, right? Like he kicks it to and hits a slashing and cutting Asar Thompson, hits a Dennis Jenkins in the corner. Like, you got to be able. Rajon Rondo didn't just get it to Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen. Rajon Rondo was able to spoon feed Kendrick Perkins and get him easy buckets. That's a great point guard. And that's what you want. If you're a Panthers fan, you want from Bryce. You want him to be a great point guard, not a functional one. Okay? I want you to be a great one. I don't want you to be that mid-tier Ricky Rubio. I need you to be that CP3 Rajon Rondo. That's what I need from you, big fella. Well, he's not big. Little fella. That's what I'm just kidding. That's what I need from you, Bryce. And if Bryce can do that, that's when you can feel like he's a franchise quarterback, but he's not shown that ability. Hey, yes, you ride the hot hand, but when the hot hand is hot, you know the defense is going to adjust, then you get back to another guy. And I think that at times last year, Tetairoa McMillan, if he wasn't the hot hand, Bryce went away from him. And you can't do that. That's your number one. You don't go away from number one. Okay? Like, you get both of these guys involved, get Chris Brazel involved, get whoever involved, get everybody involved. But the guy that should be leading you in targets every game, unless he's just fully bracketed and taken away, should be your offensive rookie of the year, Tetairoa McMillan. But guys, that is the start. That is the end of this show. Doing the initial episode for the series of rookie grades from the 2025 NFL Draft. Guys, explain the grade for Tetairoa McMillan, give you the cons and the pros, and why I believe he is a special talent that could be a top 10 wide receiver. As always, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you. On tomorrow's show, guys, I'm going to get into more rookies, right? Keith will be back on Wednesday and everything. Well, later on this week, we're going to talk about Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, all of that, guys. But I'm going to talk about Kyle Monunga. I want to get into Kyle Monunga's tape and break down what I saw from him on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.